Hello and welcome to the review of Stellaris, Paradox Interactive's new grand strategy game. And let's start by saying that this game is very amazing. But it does come with some issues. So, as a game type, the game is a bit of a hybrid actually. It's kind of like any other 4-space game, but it also includes a lot of features from Paradox Interactive's their own grand strategy games like Europe Universalis 4 and Crusader Kings 2. And as such, it actually kind of, well, I'm not sure if innovates is the correct word to say, but it definitely pushes the 4X genre in the right direction, in my opinion. A lot of the older 4X games are a bit stagnated to just do the same things again and again that have been done before, just in a new, nicer package. Yeah, let's quickly jump into the game. I'll show you a bit of the game first. I'm not gonna go super in-depth because, well, Stellaris is a massive package of fun things, and it would take me forever to go through everything. But I'll just go main points quickly through, and then I'll explain a bit more about some of the issues and what's good about the game. So, here we go. So, immediately here in the new game option, you have you're presented this selection of races. All of these guys down here are the default races that come with the game, that are pre-made for you. But there is a random option, so you can randomize your race to be total random, or you can make it yourself, which we are gonna do just to show you some of the customization options. The thing about this game is that it's very customizable just from in-game. It's also very modable outside the game, and you can do a lot of things really nicely with this. And a couple of my existing races are here already that I've been playing, and you can also select if the Empire is allowed to spawn in your other games or not. Like this guy, guys, is not, and these are. Let's jump into the new one in here. And here's the race customization. This is the kind of info screen showing all the choices. We start from the appearances here. So the game comes with 6 different categories of races: mammalians, reptilians, avians, arthropods, molluscoids, and fungoids. And there's a multitude of choices you can pick from. All kinds of really strange aliens. Some birds, some insects, some void creatures, some with tentacles, some hydras, and all kinds of weirdness. And each of these are not only selectable from here, but there is customization within these guys as well. Let's pick up some nice reptilian, for example. Actually, I like the fox race. It'll be the fox. And you can click on the fox here, and you actually go to the ruler selection here. You can randomize the name, or you can have the name. You can choose if you're a female or male, and then you have color variants for each of the races. Well, some of the races don't have variants, but some do. And then you can choose clothing for your race as well. And some of these options are different from other types. Especially hair type is not really available other than for the humans, the same one with the phenotype. But the color variants and clothes are usually available for all races. So there's a kind of lot of customization there already. And we'll just we're fine with that. Then we need a name for our race. There's a randomness. We'll be just Tarasi sounds fine for this. And then we go to the name lists. And name lists allow you to choose leader names, ship names, planet names, and fleet names. So these are randomly generated names. But all of these names are changeable in-game. Everything can be renamed in the game. The planets, ships, leaders, everything. And it's really awesome. We'll just go with some mammalian names. Plus you can also have a prefix for your ships here if you want to. So you can see that these are my ship names here. But if we could put like a review here, these are now review ships. We're not gonna do that. And then we go next to the traits. So each race starts with certain traits. Well, can have certain traits, and this is the list of traits. You have 2 points to select from, and you have maximum of 4 where you can choose from. Some are negative, some are positive. These affect your gameplay in different ways. Like this gives you research output, minerals, money, and so on. We'll just go with the agrarian for food, because it doesn't really matter at the moment. And then we are back to ruler, which we did already. Then we are choosing the home world. So these are the possible home worlds you can choose from in the game. Continental, ocean, Arctic, tundra, arid, desert, and tropical. And this is your race's preference where you want to live. We'll go with, say, we'll be desert foxes. And we'll name our home planet as well. Also, you can choose a starting solar system, so if you want to play humans in our solar system, you can do it. Or the Deneb system is a different one, and then that's random. And there will definitely be more of these to choose from as the game is being further developed. We'll go just with this selection for now. Then you can choose what your city looks here. It's really just a cosmetic thing. We'll go to mammalian because we're mammals. And then we get to the government and ethics, and this is very key part of the gameplay. This really affects a lot of things how your gameplay will go. Do you want to be a ruthless slaver or military focus or peaceful or whatever? For example, down here there is a pacifist option and fanatic pacifist, and these affect different things like army damage, war happiness, rivalry gain, but also food and maximum embassies. So if you wanna be diplomatic race, you can be, say, pacifist, or if you wanna go opposing, you can go fanatic militarist. And there's quite a lot of these options, and you choose 3 of them, and the inner ring costs 1 point, and the fanatic ones on the outer ring cost 2 points. So you can kind of mix and match them quite a lot if you want to. Of course, not the opposing ones. And then you get different bonuses from this, but it also affects your in-game choices, what you can do. Usually there's, in events, there's choice that's presented to you because of your ethics. And also, the choice of ethics affects which governments you can be. And there's by default 15, but you also unlock new ones later in the game, like advanced versions of the government as your race progresses through the technology. I will just be theocratic oligarchy for now, it doesn't really matter. And then within the empire name, we are the theocracy of Tumba Tika. Sounds good. And then we have flag customization, so this here, our icon. And there's quite a lot of ones to choose from. Pirates, Paradox's own logo. My modded Chirper logo. As you see, modding in them is fairly easy. That took me like 5 minutes to do. No, we'll just choose this one, and orange with a line through. That sounds good. And then we come to the kind of the combat choices of the game. So the combat runs really on these 3 weapon types: projectile weapons, energy weapons, and missile weapons, and defenses against those. Projectile weapons are quite nice for armors. Sorry, not armors. They are good against shields, if I'm not incorrect. Laser weapons are good against armor. That I do know. And the missile weapons have torpedoes that go through the shields, which are very nice as well. So, depending how you build your ships and what weapons you choose, it affects a lot how well you will do in combat. And if you go with a really bad choices, for example, say you have a lot of missiles, and your opponent has point defenses. Of course, yes, point defenses comes from the projectiles, and he has a ton of point defense on his ships. Your missile weapons will not do anything. Or if you go with, say, laser weapons and they have a lot of shields, your armor penetration doesn't do anything because you never get to hit the armor with your lasers. So it's kind of rock paper scissors kind of deal, but there is still a bit leeway there to all directions, and it's really fun. As you do combat against the Empires, you kind of want to check out what they have in their ships, kind of do spying, espionage, peek what kind of layout their ships are using, and then you kind of want to counter that with your own design, just against that certain enemy, especially late game against these big fallen empires, which are these ancient races that came before you already, and they have these stagnated but huge empires and huge technology. And there's also the late game crisis events where you get invaders from outside your galaxy, for example, and you have to defeat them, and they have really powerful ships and technology and a lot of ships. So you really need to counter their technology with your choices. But we'll go with just missiles, actually not just projectiles, I guess. And then we come to the FTL methods. So there are 3 different FTL methods in the game: warp travel, hyperspace travel, and wormholes. And they all differ a bit and affect your gameplay as well. So warp travel allows you to basically go from anywhere to nearby system without any limitations. It's a bit slow, but it also gives you a lot of freedom to choose where to go. And you also can go pretty much any distance. There's no like a distance limit for you. You can just go across the galaxy, but slowly. Hyperspace, on the other hand, has these hyperspace lanes between systems, existing ones, which you have to use to go from place to place, but it's really quick. So it limits your choice of movement a lot, but you can go anywhere quickly. And then we have the wormhole, and wormholes work a bit differently from both of the other options, so that you have to have wormhole generators where you jump to the other systems. So for example, in your capital, you want to have a wormhole generator, and from that system you can jump to anything that's within the range of the wormhole. It doesn't have to have wormhole generator on the other hand. But if the other end doesn't have a wormhole generator, you have to jump back to a system within range that has wormhole generator. So it's kind of jumping back and forth into back. For example, when you're doing exploration in the early game and you have wormhole in your home world or a home system, you jump from the home system to a system, you jump back to your home world, and then you jump to the next system and back and forth. And it's kind of slow, and it also is a bit risky when doing massive wars. If they blow up your wormhole generators, you're kind of stuck with your fleets. But it's also really powerful, because both warp travel and hyperspace travel forces you to go from system to system. Warp travel and hyperspace force you to go from system to system, but the wormhole travel allows you to jump over all of those systems. And for example, in my own stream games, I sometimes went into war against an enemy that was behind an empire or two, and I just jumped directly over those empires with my wormholes, ignoring their systems. Otherwise, if I was using the warp travel or hyperspace, I would have to first go through the other guys, ask permission to go through them, or just go into war with them as well, or somehow make my way through them. So it's actually really powerful, but a bit more, as it's say, advanced players kind of deal. And then we have lastly the ship appearances. So we just go with the mammalian ships on there. And then we have all our race fully done, and we can save it. So it's choosable at the start screen, and we can just go done and go to the galaxy creation. So here's the galaxy creation. Galaxy size, you have from tiny to huge normally. I added a gigantic one myself, double the size as the huge. Medium one is pretty nice and large already, especially for early game, like your first playthroughs. You might not want to go with a massively huge one. Medium is nice and great. And then we have galaxy shapes. So there's elliptical kind of galaxies, spirals, and ring. I'm a big fan of the elliptical myself, and spirals are quite nice. The ring is a bit problematic, as it can lead into very stagnated playthrough. If you get stuck in a edge of the ring somewhere and you're blocked on both sides by some big powerful empire or federation, and then you just cannot progress anywhere. We'll go with elliptical for this time. You can choose the number of AI empires, which is defined by the size of the galaxy. And then you have advanced AIs who start with a bit more advanced technologies. So if you want more difficult playthroughs, you can make more stronger enemies. And in addition to these advanced AIs and AI empires in general, you have fallen empires. So if there is enough room in the galaxy, you can have these, as I said earlier, these older races with huge technological advantage and power, but they are very stagnated. For example, they don't actually make more fleets. So if they lose their fleets, they don't make more. So they will also spawn. And the game supports multiplayer, so you can play this in a multiplayer setup as well. And it's up to 32 human players plus the AI, so it is quite massive. But the Paradox developers have said that that's the supported number, and you can actually have even more human players in there, and more AI. So it can be massive if you just can't run it. But their supported number is max 32 human players. Then there's difficulty. The difficulty is one of the things I'm a bit complaining about the game. How they did the difficulty for the game is that they give multipliers for the AI. So when you increase the difficulty of the game, it doesn't actually make the AI more intelligent in any way. It just gives them more things to play with. The hard gives them 50% bonus on minerals and research and many other things, and insane doubles the income and whatever they have. So instead of actually making them more intelligent, they just overwhelm you with numbers, basically, with multipliers. An FTL method allowed is which FTL method is allowed in this galaxy. So if you want to have just a random jumble, you can do any, but you can also force that everyone use a single type of FTL method. And then there's Iron Man mode, of course, as there should be. And let's jump into the game. So we are finally actually into the game itself. And here's our Theocracy of Tumbatika, and our lore about our race, how we got to the space and all that. So immediately, if you are now new to this game, this is a bit of an information overload, as you can see. But basically, on this side here, you have your outliner. This will be your most important thing while you play the game. This helps a lot to manage all your planets, fleets, ships, everything is very easily manageable from here. Although it could include some more information, like when you integrate someone into your empire, another empire, the progress bar could be here. Also, I would love to see the science progress part in here. But the outliner is very, very nice, and it's only gonna be better as the game progresses in development. They'll definitely add more things you can do with this. And up here we have the pause, start date, and speed. We can go from a normal speed, we can go to slowest, and we can go to fastest. And you can just have it the speed you want. So it's real time all the time, except you can pause it whenever you feel like. Up here we have our resources, the energy credits, the minerals, and the influence. And energy is basically your money, which you use to maintain things and buy certain things. Minerals is usually used for building and also maintenance on ships. This is the stuff you make ships and buildings from. And influence is used to do all kinds of political things, edicts, get some leaders, get some frontier outposts and stuff like that for yourself. And also dealing with the factions and boosting your science and things like that. And then you have the different researches up here. So the game is splits the science into 3 different versions, which is here. So this is the technology screen here. And you do all these at the same time: physics, society, and engineering research. And what is a cool thing about this, when you select the research here, you get presented with 3 choices. And this game does not have your standard 4x type of technology tree. It gives you random choices. Although some of them are weighted, like down here in the society research, getting a colony ship research early on is like super weighted. So even if you skip this one and go for the influence, you are very likely going to see this very quickly again. But you can only choose one of these 3 rest are discarded, and they may or may not come back for you to research, but they will eventually. But sometimes you can get into situations like down here in the engineering, you get bigger ships and space stations to build them. Sometimes you may end up in the situation where you get the upgrade very late in the game, and you have to just deal with that by building more smaller ships. So choices definitely do matter a lot in this, and also what kind of weapons you go for matters a lot with this. You can just go for a research speed, a colony ship, and say missiles. That's our research. Also, these are our leaders in here. So there's a few different leaders in the game. The governors for the planets and sectors, scientists, admirals for our ships, and then the generals. Also, scientists, not only are they doing the science here, they also work in your science ship in here. And when you have currently, of course, since we just started with the Fox race, we only have Foxes in here. But if you have multiple races within your empire, they can be also from the different races, which is really cool. Okay, let's jump into the government next. So this is our government, the choices we did, the government ethics, and the mode of government. You can change it also, influence cost on that, which is limited again by your ethics, and eventually later in the game you will get more higher forms of government available for yourself. Also, you can see your empire modifiers in here and all the information about that. You can see your budget, where is your money going, and then you have policies. So this is actually a very interesting part of the game as well, where you control what kind of things you can do. For example, slavery is prohibited at the moment, purging populations is prohibited. So if we made a contact with another race, with this race, and we integrated them into our society, or we conquered their planets, we couldn't actually make them into slaves or purge them from the planets. We would have to actually coexist and try to make life happy enough together. So it's actually really interesting that way. Also, how much we can bombard. Can we migrate? This is an interesting choice as well. So if you have multiple planets, your population can migrate between the planets, and especially when you get those multiple races within your own empire. Like in my stream Let's Play series at the moment, I have like 20 different races in my, maybe not 20, like 15 races within my empire. And when I look at my planets, there's all kinds of mix of jumble of different races in there. It's really cool. But also, if you are very slavery heavy and purge happy race, you can just keep your main race and get rid of everything else. There's also voting rights, leadership for primary species, and all kinds of choices. And you also get more of these choices later on, and depending on your government and ethics and things. Then you have edicts in here. These are empire-wide edicts. So you can, for example, guarantee information here, which gives you a bit less research speed, but also prevents new ethics being formed. So you only start with these, but some of your populations may gain or lose these ones. Someone could stop being individualist, or someone might become fanatic individualist, or they could find a totally new one. They could actually become like xenophobes, which is quite bad if you want to integrate a lot of aliens into your society. The opposite one, free thought, and then boosts on the research. And you also get new ones as you research things into here. And in the demographics, you can see your population effects, and also you can see the split of your empire population. Then we come into the empire window here, as we saw the leaders earlier already in here. Then we have planets. This allows you to quickly see your planets, and also you can create sectors in here. So when we zoom out here, you can see that this is our space here. Also, if you look it up here, we can only control directly 5 planets at the moment. And if you have more than that, each planet lowers our income, energy income, and our influence income by 10%. So you don't want more than 5 in direct control. How do we deal with that? We create sectors. And sectors are basically these AI-controlled areas of your empire. They are still yours. You can directly build stuff in there and make ships from those and whatever. but they're also controlled by the AI, so you can let them run, build buildings there, colonize planets and all that. They don't make fleets for you, but you can make fleets if you want yourself. And that is one of the very nice new things that kind of introduced into the 4X genre by this game from the Paradox Grand Strategy games, because it cuts a lot of the late game tedium of let me build a building here, let me build a building here, upgrade this, upgrade that, because it gets handled for you. And the AI seems very competent on doing that. And there's also focuses on different things, like you can focus them to make you military focus, research focus, money focus, mineral focus, and so on. And you can also affect how much of their production gets sent to the main empire, and you can also give them money and minerals so they can develop their areas better. So it's really cool, really cool addition to the game. Then you have factions, so you can have different factions within your race and within your empire. So if you have multiple races, it's quite likely that there's gonna be some factions popping up there. Loyalists are of course the main bulk of your empire, unless your empire is kinda rioting and up in flames. But loyalists are the ones that usually are the bulk of the empire, and they support the government and your choices. But there can be, like, if you conquer some other race, there's definitely going to be a separatist faction that wants independence from your empire and go back to their own empire. And there's different actions you can do to them: suppress the media, and just basically curb stomp them if you don't want them to do things. You can also give in to their demands if they demand something that you maybe want to do. Especially if things look really bad and they start rioting, you might have to give in to the demands of independence or whatever they are demanding. So that's a really cool addition as well. Usually when you play 4X games, you only play your main race. And when you conquer a planet, it becomes basically your race. And not this, doesn't have this kind of faction thing going on. So it's a really interesting addition. Of course, many other 4X games do have kind of similar feature, but I think this game just takes it a step further and also presents a really good foundation to take it even further in the future expansions and DLC that are bound to come. If you have played Paradox Grand Strategy games, they are always they have a lot of DLC, let's say it that way. But that's not a bad thing, because they usually are very valid and nice DLCs. Not your usual garbage money grab, but they also they do add a lot of content into the game. Also, Paradox's usual strategy is to make the core features of those expansions free addition to everyone, and then part of the thing is for those who pay for the DLCs. But I'm definitely supporting that model for these games. And it has made games like EU4 and Crusader Kings, from what they were in the beginning, into a totally different game these days. And in a good way. And I expect the same thing to happen with this game. Then we can go jump into the contacts here. So this is the contact window. You see all the different empires here and different species, which currently is of course mine. Also in the species window here, there's a modify button. So when you develop gene technologies, you can alter your own race and every race within your empire. So not only you have those races in there, you can actually modify them for the tasks you want. You could make one of the supporting races, for example, really good at ground combat, so they're gonna be your ground band race. You could make one really good farmer, one really good scientist, one good minerals. So you could really do a lot of customization this way, and it's a really cool feature. Also, you can give new negatives and new positive traits, and get rid of negative traits, which is really awesome. And this is usually where you also do the you do the diplomacy. So when you have multiple other races here, you click on them and then you communicate. I'll show you that in a second. And here's the ship designer. So the game allows you to actually design ships yourself, and this is a really cool feature about the game as well. So for example, here is my corvette that we can scroll around, and it's very customizable. They have these cores Bigger ships have multiple cores. This one starts with just one. And you can choose which core you use on each of these parts. Like a battleship has, I think, 3 of them. And you can choose each of these. And they have weapon slots and utility slots. Small ones, medium ones, and large ones. And there's carrier slot, basically, where you put bombers and stuff like that, which is each slot. And you can do a lot of customization with this. For example, we can choose the striker core here, and it gives us one small, one medium slot up here, and then utility slots. These are weapons, these are utility, so small, 5 small ones. And up here we could put mass drivers. Our selection at the moment is very limited, so these are a different slot, and you see their values in there, and then you can just put them up here. And down here we could put some reactors. We don't really have anything else to put in there at the moment. Shields, armor, regenerative hulls, all kinds of things go down here, and all the different weapon types go here. Then we have our method of warp, or a hyper or a wormhole technology in here, and you can choose. You can actually not include this one as well, which means they will never be able to jump away from that system. But if you want, for example, a cheap science ship that just boosts your planet's research output, you could just save money by not including the FTL. But it's usually very, very good idea to include an FTL. Then you have combat computers. There's usually offensive and defensive versions, which increase your damage or defense, depending on what computer you install in there. Then you have your engines. These are sublight engines, basically, how quickly you go around in a system. And then a radar. All the ship's information is shown here, and you can give them a name and save them. You can also autocomplete these. For example, we didn't need those, and told us they're useless, so we can just save here, which we will do, because it already exists, so we don't need to save it. But there's a ship designer. And then we come to one of the really nice things about the game, the situation log. You can see victory conditions here. These are the only ones you see at the start of the game, but you can get other ones unlocked later on through technology and events. And then there's the situation log, which is empty at the moment, but this is where you find like pointers, especially if you enable the tutorial, which is really well done for this game. There's this voice-acted robot helper that tells you basically what to do early game, how to do ship design, and how to handle your empire in general, all of these things. And it's a really good way with the situation log that lists like kind of like quests, what you should do next. And it's really easy and good way for new players to, and especially new players who are not really familiar with maybe 4X and grand strategy games, to learn this game. This game is definitely one of the easier ones to approach, even though it's quite deep. And someone was joking that this is basically gateway drug into the 4X games, and especially in the Paradox's grand strategy games. So if you have ever wanted to try those games, this is the one you should start with, and then from here go on to try the EU4, the European Universalis 4, or Crusader Kings 2. This will definitely help you a ton and be an easy way into that world. Alright, let's send my ships around. So for example, this is my stellar fleet here. We can rename it if we want to. Same with all the leaders. We could hire an admiral, put it in the ship here. I'm not gonna do it though. We'll just send this to explore here. Then we have constructor ship in here, and this constructor ship can move around. It can build observation posts, frontier outposts, terraforming stations, mining stations, but we need to survey first. Our own system is not actually surveyed, so we can just click here with the science ship and tell it to just go around and survey the whole thing. Let me speed up the time a bit so we see it go around, and it's really nice how this surveying works, and you need to do this on every system you see around. Although there's 2 levels of well, 3 levels of intel. You have low level of intel, so you don't know anything about the planets. Then you have a high level and medium level. And basically, the medium level is when you send one of your ships like this here, and it shows you what the planets are. If you, for example, look at this system, well, we cannot actually look at any of these systems. But anyways, it shows that there is planets, but you don't know what they are. When you send any ship in there, you see, for example, this is habitable, but it needs to be surveyed. And then the third step is when the system is surveyed, like we are doing in here. So in here we can see that we don't know what these planets do and what they have in them. And as you survey them, they turn white instead of this gray name. And it also shows what they have in them. So for example, this planet has 4 energy credits, and we can use our construction ship here to build a mining station in there to gain these 4 credits. And this mining station building can be done anywhere within your control, so you don't have to actually colonize these systems. Like, I could send my survey ship here, survey this system, and there's very likely going to be some minerals or energy or something, science, that I can use. And then we can just utilize that, as long as it's within my empire. If you build stations in there...
System survey complete.
And you lose the control, the one who controls the area then gains the stations. So they don't actually blow up or anything, but someone else will get the benefit from them. There's my leader. Leveling up. I'm trying to find an anomaly. As you research or survey these systems, you can find anomalies which can trigger events, and they are really cool. There's a huge variety of different events, and this is one of the best things I love about this game, this early game exploration. So there we go, an anomaly. There are signs of activity by an ancient precursor civilization on this inhospitable rock. So there's something left by some ancient aliens in here. It's level 1 anomaly, and there's a bit of a risk to do it. But these are really cool, and there's a lot of interesting ones. A lot of references to other sci-fi games and other sci-fi things, books, movies, and lots of fun stuff. Let's just survey that quickly and see what do we have here. And there we go. And he failed. Well, anyways. And I really love this early game exploration. And as you can see, this is the whole galaxy we have here. This is the medium elliptical galaxy. And we don't know the other aliens. And even when we first encounter them, we don't know who they are and what they do. We need to actually research the other race to learn their languages. We just discovered alien life. And then you see what they do and what they can talk about. It's really cool. And I just found one. So alpha aliens are there. We know that there's someone's planet there and their ships. And we can now check the situation log here. And we have investigate alpha aliens available. And it tells you to do that. And there's a research option, 180 days. We'll just do that. And we'll keep continuing there. Funny thing about not knowing the aliens is that we know that they have a planet there, and their empire is probably somewhere here. Normally I couldn't enter their space, but since we are not friends yet, or don't know them yet, we can actually enter their systems, which is really cool. Sometimes it might be a good idea not to make contact with them, so that you can get your own colonization ship close enough and learn about them. Find another planet here. So it's really interesting as well. Let's see how much more. Almost done.
Special project complete.
So found Temlar Royal Planets, and there they are, our first alien race. And this is the thing I said about the ethics affecting what you can say. So our individual spiritualistic ethics allows me to say this or these other things. Our sacred arms shall not be wavered, Temlari. And you can just greet them that way. And there's their empire. And there's another empire down here, the Beta aliens. And this is how you find other guys. And now that we know them, they are added to the list here. We can see that they don't really like us. New contact, xenophobia, voice spiritualist, evangelizing zealots. Yeah, they don't really like anyone at all. All of the races have this government form, and then this kind of what their thoughts are about the other races and what is their goal in life. And evangelizing zealots are pretty bad. They will hate us forever and probably try to kill us as soon as possible. And here we could do diplomacy with them. You can just click directly into the icon here, or you can just go from here and communicate. And this is a diplomacy screen, which tells us a lot of things. For example, what they think of us and why do they hate us. Our power, I think these are advanced AI start actually, because they are superior on those. Number of planets, number of population, if they are rival with us, and their general attitude towards us, unfriendly. Also their race information here. And we can declare a war on them if we want to. We can invite to alliance. You can also make federations out of alliances when you have enough allied races together to form this bigger federation, where the rulership of the federation goes between the races every, I think, 5 years. And you can form a federation fleet. You can vassalize them as to be their vassal. You can offer trade deals, all kinds of trade deals, money, minerals, border accesses for different options, information. Star chart shows you what planets there are, and there's the active vision, non-aggression pledges, independence guarantee, migration access. So you can actually allow other alien races to move into your planets as well, which is really cool, even without being actually inside your empire. And sometimes, for example, I had a late game event in my previous playthrough, and there was one race that was really getting destroyed, and they asked for migration access into my planets so that they could just get the hell out of that side of the galaxy and move into my planets, which was really cool. You can also do a research agreement with them, which gives them a bonus into technologies that you have already researched, so it's easier for them to get that. And that's basically the basics of this game. Let me load up my bigger save with these guys to show you a bit more late game stuff. So here we have a lot more planets that we are controlling, a lot more fleets, and all kinds of things in here. And this is what the galaxy looks like in here. So this is the ring world, ring galaxy that I'm playing in. And I'm the Xanor hive mind down here. And I have some vessels down here. And up here, that's my buffer zone against the invading aliens. There's a massive federation here, federation up here. I think there's one federation here as well at the moment. And we have these huge fleets in here of ships, and they are battleships that you can see here. As I said, they have multiple slots and all kinds of guns, and we have options of doing all kinds of things with our ships. And I still have a lot to research as well. Then we have shields, reactors, regen, hull tissue, different armors, and all of these. So there is a lot of customization late game. But there is also one of the big issues, at launch at least, that's already being handled. Big fleets like this in a war are really laggy. And that's one of the late game problems at the moment with the game. It gets really laggy when you do massive battles and wars against the other empires. And it really needs to be addressed. There's other few issues that are mainly annoyances, like the wormholes have some bug issues. There's events where references are totally wrong. They're referring planets instead of ships and ships instead of planets. And that's one of the biggest problems with the game at the moment, that there is a bit of bugs that need to be really dealt with. And there's also some war-related bugs where you can end up into a war that cannot be ended, which I had to deal with yesterday. Also, one of the Crisis events has had some issues yesterday as well for me. So there is definitely a bit of bugs at launch, but the developers are working hard to iron those out, and they even contacted me personally with some of the issues and asked for save files. So they're definitely working on it, but there is, at launch, there is definitely issues. Also, some of the later game issues are that are not really bugs or anything, but just through the gameplay. The game midpoint of the game and late game of the game can kinda stall out and get very stagnant. When you get these, for example, my massive empire here with my vassals against, say, these massive federations and these massive federations, it kind of turns into the standstill of massive federations and massive empires just staring at each other, because going to war is too risky for both sides. Just too much damage on both sides and too much ships to actually do any proper war. And you're gonna stagnating, just researching more things and min-maxing your planets, and just not really doing any of that exploration and the war and that stuff. That's really fun part of the game, early game. You're just very stagnated like this. Unless something happens, some event happens in the galaxy that shakes up the balance a bit. And those are the late game crisis events that will definitely do some fun changes in there. There is, for example, an invasion fleet that comes outside of the galaxy and starts nom-nomming the other races. And if that hits, for example, your empire, because it's random which side of the galaxy it comes from, if it hits your empire, you're in trouble, because you have to deal with the aliens with your ships, which means you don't have ships to deal with the other empires who might see that as an opportunity to jump at you, or you can see it as an opportunity to jump at them if they get hit by one of these late game events. But sometimes they are also so bad and difficult that you actually have to team up to deal with them together. And that's a really cool part of the game as well. The whole event system thing they added to the game, from exploration to planet events to leader events to empire events to these crisis events, they are really amazing. And that's something they'll definitely keep adding to the game. There's also already a massive variety of those, and they will definitely, as the game development continues, add more of those. And that's one of the massive draws for the game for me over the other 4X games. And let's see, is there anything else? I guess not. That's pretty much pretty thorough review of the game. So it is one of the best 4X games to date, in my opinion. It does have issues like the late game stagnation, some bugs which are definitely getting looked at, but it also misses like diplomacy could be a bit better, more varied. There should be more espionage. There should be something to be able to shake up these federations. Like I just cannot diplomatically deal with them really. The only option is just to go to war and try to do something there. But when a federation forms, it's for life pretty much, and there's nothing I can do about those, or anyone can do about them, other than just try to kill them or join them. And I hope at some point that part of the game gets a bit more love and care. But anyways, that's my quick review for the game. If you love 4X games, if you love Paradox games, do check it out, definitely. It's very amazing. Even though I'm complaining about some of the issues, they're not show-stopping and they're not that huge, but they definitely are there. Also, if you are new to both of the game series, both of the 4X and Grand Strategy games, this is a very good and manageable gateway drug into those games. So if you have ever wanted to try 4X or Paradox Grand Strategy games, this is the game. You want this, and then you want to move on. Well, not move on, but you want to branch out onto the other ones as well. But anyways, thank you for watching this review. Go get the game, it's awesome, and I'll see you guys next time on the next review.